Hi, beautiful soul, and welcome to another episode of Intuitive Creator Spotlight. I am Stella, your host, and in this playlist, I invite my amazing guests who share their stories. They have transformed their lives and now are on a path to help other people transform their lives too. So today, I have here with me an amazing guest, a world renowned dancer. She is a teacher, choreographer, and author. Her story is incredibly inspiring because she has dedicated her life to reviving the true soul of Egyptian dance. When I met Joanna, and I asked her like what her story is about, I wanted to know her better. I was absolutely fascinated from the first second I met her. Hi, Joanna, and welcome to this podcast.
Hi, Stella. Thank you for the invitation. As I was just telling you before we started recording, it was a no-brainer for me because we already met personally at a writing workshop, and I knew this would be an absolute pleasure. So thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I'm so looking forward to absolutely everything that will come through in this episode because I know how rich is your story, how many experiences you've been through, and I can't wait for you to share your story with our viewers and the world. So I know that your story with being connected with the Egyptian dance started in one very magical moment when you heard a flute at a festival. Can you take us back to that moment? What did you feel? How did you know that your life is going to completely change after that time?
Hmm. Okay, so that's one of those experiences that it's hard to describe. There is a lot in Egyptian dance that is hard to put into words. And the reason is because this is the kind of dance which hasn't been much documented. So you don't find a lot written about Egyptian dance, not in depth. And also because Egyptian dance is so much beyond the realm of words. But more about that later. So I have been dancing all my life. I started dancing as a student at 5. Even before that, I was already doing what I call the monkey business. So I danced, I mean, whatever you call dance, I already danced for my parents and their guests and for kindergarten. I had, all the indication that it was obvious that I was going to become a dancer or anything related to it. And then I eventually entered the conservatoire for acting, nothing to do with dance, I mean, not directly. I had dance in the background. So I never stopped dancing, but I was convinced that I was going to be an actress. So I applied for the conservatoire. I did the auditions. It's a tough set of auditions. I entered, and as I went to a festival with a fellow group of actors, I found Egyptian dance by chance. So we were not there for Egyptian music or dance. This was a cultural festival that happens in the north of Portugal every year. They feature different kinds of cultures, African, Afro-American, Argentinian tango, different kinds of dances from all sorts of places, classical ballet, contemporary dance, a lot of stuff. And one night, me and my friends, actors, mind you, all actors, nothing to do with dance and nothing to do with Egypt whatsoever, we are just roaming around and we listen to the ney. The ney is the Oriental flute. And I don't remember who said, let's go and check what's this. One of us said. So we went, and there was a circle of people sitting, and the teacher would pull people in the middle to improvise to the music. At that time, I did not realize, but those were folks who already studied Egyptian dance. So we just entered the circle and said, what the hell? Nobody's going to die if we make a fool out of ourselves. Let's go. We are actors, so we don't mind. We're used to being ridiculous and weird and whatever. So let's go. And the teacher pulled me in the center of the circle. And then again, it's hard to explain in words. Okay, I'm usually good with words, but it's hard to describe. I felt, and this is the best way I can explain it, I felt I had arrived home, and I felt that I had found my language. And mind you, I knew nothing about it. I had no idea what that music was. I had no idea what that dance was. I had no previous interest in Egypt whatsoever. Zero. So I entered, and instinctively, as I hear the music and I start to move as I can, doing whatever, of course, I wasn't doing Egyptian dance yet. I was doing something. I felt, wait a second, this is it. I found myself. Now, game on. Let's go. From that moment on, the obsession was ignited, the focus was ignited, and I started traveling to study Egyptian dance. I went to Egypt by myself to study
Mm,
several times, coming back and forth. In the space of 2, 3 years, I was preparing to move to Cairo to perform, which is insane.
mm.
Insane. And now, again, now with the experience that I have, right? 25 years of career in this field, right? Performing in Egypt, performing and teaching all over the world. And when I say this, I don't say to brag, I say so that people have an idea of how much experience I have on my back. So with the experience that I have now, I look back and I say what I did was insane. And I would not recommend it to anyone, and I'm the kind of person who will tell you, go for it. Don't quit your dreams. You have to go for it. But I wouldn't recommend this to anyone because really insane. Insane because I did not have experience enough. I did not know enough. I did not know Arabic when I moved to Egypt. I learned it very fast as well, but I did not know it. I had no buffers to protect me, no managers, no impresarios, no nothing. So it was a deep leap of faith, a huge jump into the unknown, and I exposed myself to a lot of stuff that I wish nobody will ever see. Okay, because it's a tough country. It's a wonderful country, but very tough. And the field of Egyptian dance in Cairo, being the birthplace of Egyptian dance and being the mecca of Egyptian dance, as you can imagine, is super competitive. It's dominated by Egyptians, naturally, because it's Egyptian dance in Egypt, of course. Being a foreigner, especially a foreigner without a buffer, without someone in between, I did not have life made easy at all. So it was nuts, and it was a passion and a love and an obsession. And I have to do this. The feeling of I was born to do this, whatever this is, undeniable. Undeniable. I did not understand it. It is insane, but it was undeniable. This is it. Let's go.
Mm. You knew that was your path, and you had to go
Mm.
through so many experiences. And from what you're sharing, it's like it started in that moment at the festival, but then it was like a snowball
Oh, yeah,
that moved very, very fast.
very
Because
fast.
like to study 2, 3 years and then to decide to move there, I can only imagine what a challenge this has been for you. I have only been to Egypt once in my life, and just to kind of travel and see the pretty places, but I can only like imagine. I have no idea. I will never know exactly what you have been through, but I can only imagine based on what I've seen that it was definitely not an easy journey for you to adapt to that culture, especially that you've had a specific background. And talking about background, we had a small conversation before we started the interview, and I was telling you how fascinated I am by your journey because you have started with dance in different ways, ballet, and then you moved from ballet to acting. But then I can tell that you have been through so much in your young years, so that those experiences prepared you for what you had to experience in Cairo. What would you say did you have any expectations before you moved to Cairo? Any at all?
Well, I had the expectation, the very specific expectation of launching my career as a professional Oriental dancer in Cairo, dancing at specific places with the best orchestra that I could ever find. That was my expectation and goal. Okay. Then expectations around how it would be like to live there.
Mm,
Because one thing is to visit,
yeah.
another thing is to live and work there in an area which is quintessentially Egyptian. So, mind you, I was not in Egypt to work as an engineer or as an English teacher. I went to Egypt to become a professional Oriental dancer, which is quintessentially Egyptian. They're very protective and very, how can I say, very proud in a way and ashamed in another way of their dance. I was an outsider and I was an outcast. A foreigner in that environment is an outcast, and there is no way you can predict how it's going to go. There is no way. Also, because, there is an entire mentality, an entire culture, and a perspective on Egyptian dance that was very different from mine. So, just the other day, I was speaking with a friend about this. One of the benefits or advantages of getting into Egyptian dance and Egyptian culture as a foreigner, as an outsider, is that I don't carry the prejudices that they carry. I carry my own from my own culture, which are different. There are different prejudices. So there is a fresh look, a fresh approach to Egyptian dance that comes from the fact that I'm a foreigner, I'm an outsider. I did not grow up in an Egyptian Islamic country. That frees me from a lot of prejudices, taboos, limitations, distorted ideas that Egyptians have around their craft. So I perhaps expected to find a country that celebrated and respected their dance and their dancers, and that doesn't happen. So if you ask me more about the biggest shock rather than my biggest expectation, was that I thought Egyptian dance and Oriental dancers were celebrated and respected and dignified and treated like artists, and they're not. This was a huge shock to me. I also have to add that while I was studying to be an actress, even before I moved to Egypt, I earned a scholarship in Madrid. And I had the chance to study with an Egyptian teacher before I moved to Egypt. That was Shokri Mohammed, a master, a psychic. He was a psychic, and he knew that, and he used that. He called me aside one day, very early on, and mind you that I was still studying to be an actress. So I was already into Egyptian dance, but it never crossed my mind that this would be my career. And he pulled me aside and he told me, you are going to be a famous dancer all over the world. Everyone is going to know you in this field. And I thought, you are insane. And I told him, Shokri, I love you, but come on, you were smoking something weird. I'm an actress. That's never going to happen. I mean, come on, you're just being nice and insane. Sorry. And Shokri had a way of communicating a kind of Egyptian dance that is pure, beautiful, elegant, feminine, and magical, elevated, soulful, spiritual. That was the tradition that he awakened in me. When I moved to Egypt, I found a completely different approach.
Mm.
What? Spiritual? What are you talking about? Soulful? Are you kidding me? For me, that was a huge shock that I found that Egyptians in Egypt don't see their dance as spiritual or soulful. They don't see Oriental dancers as artists. It was a series of shocks that showed me the other side of Egyptian dance and the other side of Egyptian society. And although it is not pleasant, it's a part of the learning process. So, what happens with a lot of foreigners who go to Egypt and have that same shock is that they quit. They think, okay, I cannot handle this. This is too much. right? And for me, the more they told me this is shameful, the more I wanted to show them it is not. The more they told me Oriental dancers are all prostitutes and this is a low level job and only bad girls do it, the more I wanted to show them this is the job of real artists. The more I felt an attack, not on me personally, because they did not know me from anywhere, but the more I felt the attack on the dance, the more I stepped up and said, I'm going to prove you wrong. Of course, this is very arrogant. I mean, I'm talking about an entire country with,
Mhm.
thousands of years of culture. Egypt is one of the oldest civilizations, as we all know. So it's kind of delusional and arrogant from me. I mean, I'm not going to teach them anything, but I use the opposition and the ignorance and the prejudice as fuel to make me want to make it at the highest level, the best that I could, and show the world the true beauty of Egyptian dance, how it is, in fact, very different from what they say it is. So in a way,
Mm.
they helped me, It again, it was so tough. I would go back home on those first periods in Cairo. I used to go back home crying, literally crying, depressed. I said, they're saying this, they're saying that. I don't know why and how they see their dance like this and why they see dances like that. I felt so shocked and so sad by it. But then I said, you know what? I'm going to use this as fuel. So let's go. And then, as I told you, as a professional Oriental dancer in Egypt, you live in a bubble. And you live in a very specific bubble. There is no way I could have expectations because I had no idea how that life would look like. I would perform every night with my orchestra. We would rehearse. I would rest. I would go to the gym and repeat, repeat, repeat to keep the machine going. Also, because once you become a dancer in that market, you hire your people. So you have to work constantly. Otherwise, they don't earn money and their families don't eat. So you see yourself in a kind of a machine that cannot stop and it depends on you. And there is no way I could have previewed it. I had no expectations because it's such a different world, the Arabic language that I learned because I had to, right? My musicians did not speak English, so I had to communicate and I had to start signing contracts and all that stuff. So um, there was a lot that I had to learn very fast to survive and to operate in the society. But overall, I don't think that you have expectations about any of it because it's beyond your wildest dreams. It's really a very exotic, different world. And you only know about it when you go through it, when you see it. There was nothing else that I expected rather than I'm going to make it as a dancer in the Mecca of Oriental dance. That
Mm.
was my only expectation. And that's what I accomplished, and that's what I was there for.
Mm, and that's something you kind of gave yourself as an incentive or just like a point to kind of go towards. And I love how you mentioned everything about taking in perspective those people who are working with you. And I actually remember when we visited Egypt, they were talking about how important it is for them to build those levels in their houses, and then every generation would have to kind of earn money to do that next level and next level for their houses, and it's a big thing for them. And it's so fascinating how you took all of that in perspective and you took it seriously, not only your craft and your determination to make it happen, but also those people's lives as well, because I'm sure they felt that, and that's why they wanted to continue to protect you and be there for you and support you. And as I said, everything that you've been through in your life has kind of invited you in that space eventually. And I also love how you talk about this form of art, because I remember like watching films when I was a child and I was always fascinated by it. And then when you grow up and then you visit these countries and then you see how they perceive it, it's like, wow, really? It's such a beautiful, beautiful dance. And I know that you speak about the Egyptian dance as being more than just a move. You share it as a philosophy. And from that moment when you first did those moves at the festival, not knowing exactly what they mean, to now realizing how deep and profound this is, how would you say this changed your life as a person, as a dancer, as a soul?
Hmm. Let me go back just a little bit on something that you were mentioning. Knowing Egyptian culture is essential if you want to know Egyptian dance. So one of the things that was tough but very useful about all those years of performing in Egypt, almost 10 years, so it's quite a long time, is that the dance is connected with the culture, with the mentality, with the religion, with politics, with economy, with the way people live, how they talk, how they move. A lot of what we do in Egyptian dance comes from colloquialisms, how people communicate, how they react in their daily lives. So let's give an example. If I went to the market with my assistant, which I usually did, she would take me to a market in Cairo. Beledi, yani Beledi is like popular for, for the lower classes. El Khan El Muski, the market El Muski. I would just sit down. I would tell her, Nagle, go and do your shopping. I'm just sitting down in a coffee shop and observe people, observe the women, how they ask for the produce, how they talk, when they get upset, what they do, how they move, their face expressions. All of that is material for my dance, because all of it informs the dance. So one of the most amazing things about learning Egyptian dance is precisely, at least in my method, of course, not everyone will tell you the same, okay? But in my method, it is the essential knowledge of the culture behind it and what that means to the person who is learning it, right? Because it's a culture with a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, like every culture. It's not perfect. It has a lot of light and a lot of darkness, but it can teach us so much about dance and about life. For instance, how to enjoy time without rushing. This is so painfully obvious, and it's not obvious. One of the things that we learn when we start to study Egyptian dance, Yani Mazbout, correctly, is we have to slow down and enter what I call the timeless time of Egypt. No rush, no stress, no anxiety, and you do a movement and you stay with this movement. You stay here, right? I'm moving and I am present with this movement and I am fully here and there is no stress, no rush, something which is so hard for foreigners, as you can imagine, because we are fast paced. We are an anxious kind of people. We live for productivity, for, quick solutions, for quick fixes. So this is really hard for Westerners to do. But I remember when I moved to Egypt and I started observing people, how they took it slow. People sitting in coffee shops, smoking shisha, and doing nothing. And I remember thinking, what the hell? You have nothing to do with your. I got so irritated and annoyed because, of course, I was coming from a place where people tell me, go, 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 don't stop. What? Why are you sitting down doing nothing? Are you useless? You have nothing to do? You have no work? You have no study to do? Yalla, ba. Yalla, 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 yalla. And I saw people were not in a rush, and it really triggered me, and then with time I started to appreciate that time. You give yourself time to breathe, to experience, to feel. That is very much in Egyptian culture, very much like an invisible rule for Egyptian dance, and that is part of the reason why learning the culture is so essential. You cannot learn the dance without learning the culture. Now, from that first contact to now, you know, and sometimes I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and people think this is a slogan. Because I'm aware it sounds like a slogan. I am aware, okay, that it sounds like a slogan, but it's not. It's true. It's factual. Um, Egyptian dance has changed me and my life completely, radically. And I'm not even speaking about my career, my job. Forget the job. I mean, me, the person, the individual, and the way I experience things. It has made me more emotionally available. It has made me more intense. It has made me more curious. It has made me more confident. It has made me more aware of who I am, what I want, what I don't want, what I can do, what I cannot do. It has made me aware of what it means to sensually enjoy a life. It has absolutely changed everything, everything in my core. And it changed very early on. You know, I remember still in the conservatoire, my fellow actor friends telling me, Joana, what happened when they saw me and I was going back and forth to Egypt and from Egypt, right? And I was getting more and more and more immersed. My teachers would ask me, what's going on? You're an actress or you're a dancer? You have to decide, right? And my colleagues were telling me, what is happening with you? You're different. You're just different. What's going on? Where did you go? What's up? Because it was apparent, you know, the confidence, the shine, the authenticity, the presence, so many things that I did not have. I did not have. They bloomed, they came to the surface when I went deep into Egyptian dance. And when I tell people Egyptian dance has changed my life and it can change yours, here's the slogan, right? They say, yeah, right. What a nice cliche slogan. You're very smart. No, I'm not smart. I'm intelligent. I'm not smart. I'm intelligent, which is something different. And this is not a slogan. It's the truth.
Mm. And you are your life and your experience is an example of that because nobody came and told you, hey, you know, it's going to change your life, but you
No.
followed that path and you've experienced it yourself. And I know that, yes, in that moment when your teacher or a mentor told you that you are going to be very well known, maybe you were like, okay, what are you talking about? But now, seeing where you are and how many beautiful people you've inspired through your art, what would you say your legacy is in your life and also doing this kind of work for the world too?
You know, I think legacy is something that we identify once we're dying or once we're dead because there is still so much to do. The book that I'm working on that you are aware of because we went through the process of writing the first draft together in the program that we joined, and so you're kind of acquainted with that. It's a part of that legacy. I have two books already published. They're a part of that legacy. My school, Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, is a part of that legacy, but I know there is still so much to do. There is one thing that has been the motor of my career. And this is something I teach students who want to become professionals. I say, start with your why. Why you want to do this? What is the legacy you want to leave behind? And I know this can be a scary question for someone who is starting, someone who's just enjoying it and doesn't know why she's doing it or why he's doing it, right? But it is an important question when you want to work on it professionally. So there are two big motivations, which I hope will be my legacy, right? I'm still not that. So there's so much to do yet. One is to bring the beauty of Egyptian dance to every corner of the world, way more than I already did, because when I travel the world in festivals, I traveled to dance festivals within dance communities, which is a very restricted niche kind of space. But I would like women from all over the world, non-professional dancers, not in the niche, to enjoy the beauty of Egyptian dance. And that's already happening from the moment I opened my school, Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School. Actually, that was why, the main reason why I opened the school, because an online school where I could host students from all over the world would allow me to do that precisely, objectively. It's a reality, right? And this is one of the reasons why I love the online and the virtual world. All things considered, we know there's so much negativity and bad stuff happening due to overconsumption of social media and all of that. But I actually love the internet, and I think it has opened the possibility for a lot of us to do the kind of work and have the kind of reach that physically we could never have. So, sharing the beauty and the transformation power of Egyptian dance with women from all over the world, that's certainly a legacy that I've been working on from the beginning. It hasn't changed. Okay. And simultaneously, and connected with that, comes the desire to dignify and elevate Egyptian dance. Not because the dance is on the floor, the dance is always deep into the earth and deep into the sky. My dear teacher, Mahmoud Reda, with whom I also studied and worked while I was performing in Egypt, he's considered the father of Egyptian folklore. And in the beginning, I was a student, and then we started collaborating and working together. He used to tell me, Joana, never confuse the dance with the dancers. The dance is beautiful, it's pure, it's elevated, it's elegant, it's soulful. The ones who do it can transform it into something else. You can distort it. You can take it to places where it doesn't belong. Never confuse the dance with the dancers. These are two different things. So I would like to dignify and elevate the dance, not because the dance is on the floor, but because the use that has been made of this dance is, in many cases, not dignifying its value, its beauty, and its purpose. So that is the legacy I would like to leave behind. It's not about being known or being respected. I think that comes as a consequence, right? And that's up to people to say. That's up to the people who know my work and enjoy my work to say. She's very good, she's very bad, she's this, whatever. That's not the point. The point is, I want to elevate the art form, and I want to bring its beauty and the transformation I experienced to women of all over the world, not only to professional dancers. I want that beauty and the way it has enriched my life to touch other women. It was my initial reason, and it's still my reason. So we go back full circle to consistency. Before we started recording, if you remember, you were telling me about discipline and consistency. I think that having a clear purpose, why am I doing this? And keeping it in the long run, consistently, is essential to build something and to leave a legacy. These have been my intentions from the beginning, and they're still my intentions now, 25 years plus. So it's nice. It never changed. It's still my ambition.
And I thank you for your passion, because this was the whole purpose of this series, to share with the world these meaningful stories, and to talk about how important it is to embrace the path that you feel in your heart is for you to walk on, to explore, to become curious about. And really, I can't wait to read your book. I know it's going to be an amazing one. And when we met in person a few months ago, I remember talking about like your experience and how at some point you started teaching women in Egypt. You started teaching them Egyptian dance,
Yeah.
and you mentioned some about the funny stories that you've had there. Can you share with us one of those stories when it comes to like why those women came to you to learn Egyptian dance?
Yeah. So that was in Cairo, and I cannot take credit for it. I would never take the initiative of organizing a course for Egyptian women in Egypt. And the reason why, it's because, again, the way they see Egyptian dance is very different from the way I see it. And because it's part of their culture, they don't even consider it an object of study. So I wouldn't think of it, okay? I had a couple of male friends from salsa and Argentinian tango and other movidas of dance that I was involved with when I was not performing. So I would go to different places and got to meet friends who had their wives, and their wives and there would come and see me perform, as you do. She's our friend, let's watch her perform. So their wives started to comment, we would like her to teach us. So the husbands organized a course with their wives, Egyptians, right? So the funny part is I initially said no, no way in hell, because this is gonna be chaos. I already, yani, I deduced this would be chaos, and it was. But they say, no, please take it light, Yani. It's not something serious. It's just for them to have fun with you and see how you do it. Show them a few moves, and it's enough, Yani. Don't think of it too much. So we did it. And as I usually do when I start a group, I ask them, why are you here? I am curious to know what brings people here. I already know your husband's organized this, so let's get that out of the way. Now, why did you want me to do this for you, right? And one of them told me, I would like to dance like you. We have seen you perform, and wow, Joana, yalla ba, I want to dance like you. I said, oh my God, that is totally the wrong reason to be here, because, you know, if I know one thing about Egyptian dance is that it allows you to discover your way of doing things. It's not about doing it like somebody else. It's about, how do I listen to the music? How do I feel this movement? How would I react to this sound or to this silence or to this rhythm? How does it feel in my body? It's very directed at the self and identity. So coming to an Egyptian dance class to dance like somebody else, it's the opposite of everything that Egyptian dance is about. So, okay, that was the first issue, okay? And I explained her, and she said, of course, I just want to dance like you. Okay. So the second one said, yeah, I would love to dance for my husband. So I need you to teach me to dance for my husband. And I knew exactly what she meant. And mind you, I have nothing against dancing for the husband. Woo, go for it, have fun, have a wonderful time. But maybe I'm not the best person to teach you that, right? Because um, I teach Egyptian dance from an artistic, creative, personal expression perspective. It's not the kind of approach, you're going to do this, and then you're going to look at him, and then you're going to shimmy, and he's going to die. Oh my God. I'm not that teacher, you know, I'm not that person. It's not the kind of approach that you are going to receive from me. So then again, I had to explain to her, you know, after you know how to do it, you can do whatever you want with it. So dance for your husband, dance for your cat, dance for an alien. I don't care. Be happy. But that's not the way I see Egyptian dance, right? So let's do it my way, and then you guys use it as you wish, right? So this was one of the many clashes that I was describing before between my perspective of it and the perspective of Egyptians. Okay. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying they are different. They are different. And one of the reasons why they're different, it's precisely because coming from a different culture, I don't have the prejudices and the taboos they have. I have my own, completely different from a different culture. And they don't have the prejudices that I have, because we are not coming from the same culture. We're not formatted, we're not put into the same boxes. So every culture puts you in a box and teaches you to see the world from a specific angle, right? I'm not saying mine is better. I'm just saying it's different. So I come into Egyptian dance as a foreigner, as an outsider, with a fresh look that allows me to look at the dance with a naturality and the kind of depth that a lot of Egyptian women can't, because they grew up listening doing Egyptian dance is great, but aib, shameful, haram, 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 yani it's forbidden. You shouldn't. It's great, but it's dangerous.
Mm,
It's against God. It's not suitable for a woman. It's not suitable for a good girl, for a good woman. Aib, yani. Aib means rude, not
mhm,
elegant. I don't have that. I don't have that. Not only I grew up in a different culture, but I've been dancing and trained as a dancer since I was 5. So my
mhm,
relationship with the body and how it moves and how it works, it's very different from a regular Egyptian woman who has never been educated in dance and who has a very specific kind of box in her head that tells her this dance is wonderful, yeah, but it's forbidden, but we shouldn't do it, but it's shameful. I don't have that. So
mm,
this is one of the most interesting things about working in Egypt and realizing how people see it. Um, and this is one of the most interesting things as a teacher, because as a teacher, in the school, I have Egyptian women as well. Okay.
mm,
I always try to understand what ignites people, what triggers them, why are they here, what's working for them, what's not working, how they're using this dance, how it's benefiting them. And different cultures and different people will come for different reasons and with different benefits, different results. I've come to a point where I don't judge anymore. I used to judge and say, "Oh my God, they don't get it." Like you get, "Oh my God." I'm not there anymore. I say, "You want to dance for the alien who came in the spaceship and dance for the alien for God's sake." I don't care. I'm not judging anymore, and it doesn't bother me anymore.
mm,
Also because I've been doing my job and doing what I believe for such a long time that I find, okay, that's more than enough. I don't
mm,
have to control, be the police control of how people are doing it or not doing it. And sometimes, in our field, people come to me very, very, mad. Joanna, do you see what they're doing in Cairo, in the discotheques? They're using this dance like striptease. I say, let them. Are they having fun? Let them have fun. I mean, what do you want me to do? Or
mm,
in the festivals, do you see how they're twisting the dance? It's not Egyptian dance anymore. Aren't you mad? I say, what do you want me to do? To travel
mm.
to USA with the baton and say, guys, enough of this bullshit. Now let's do it the right way. I mean, you cannot
No.
control what people do, cannot control. I think that dance and the way it's been spread around the world and the way people are using it has its own way of evolving, has its moments of growth, has its moments of stagnation and decline, and it's all part of it. I'm just doing my part and I'm just doing my job, and
Mm.
people do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, and just encouraging people to dance, just dance, which is what your art and work is inspiring so many people who are coming in contact with your space. And to everyone who's watching us, please check out the description of this video to know how you can connect with Joanna. You might find this video when she already has her book launched, so check that out too. And other than that, just go on her website, because honestly, it will just take you into a completely different world, a magical one, a beautiful one, and an honest, authentic one as well, where Joanna is expressing her views on the world through her own lenses, in the most authentic way. And with this, Joanna, thank you so much for watching us. And one last thing, if you want to share with us, to everyone who's thinking, wow, this sounds very interesting. Where do I even start from? Of course, the easiest way is to get in contact with you, because you have a wealth of information to share with the world. But let's say if they think, well, maybe I'll reach out a little bit later, what would be the first thing to encourage people to reflect on, or to do, to kind of start this journey on their own?
Hmm. So before I give you that objective indication, let me just offer a last note here that there is a connection with what you do, intuition and heart. And one of the biggest things that I personally do with my students when I teach them Egyptian dance is to reignite the energy of the heart, which is one of the specific things about Egyptian dance you don't find in any other dance form. It's more than movement and it's more than steps. It's an awakening. And I know, here we go again, alert for the slogan, but it's not a slogan, it's true. It just sounds like a slogan. We awaken the energy of the heart and the deep unconscious intuition of the womb. I'm not going to speak about it because we wouldn't leave this place. We would be here for hours if I started talking about this. It's the two hearts of Egyptian dance, as I tell them, one right here and the other one in the womb. This is the awakening, the true initiation in Egyptian dance, awakening the womb and awakening the heart. And once we open those channels, that's when life starts to change. And that's how dance transforms us from within. I'm going to just add that because it's so important. Now, they can start by checking the available courses at my school. We're changing all the time. The course that I recommend everyone is my signature course because that's the entire journey from initiation, intermediate level to advanced that you're going to have with me with my original teaching method. So you're not going to find this anywhere else. It's authentic Egyptian dance and self-empowerment from the ABC to mastery. And they can join our newsletter as well. So they are up to date with everything that we're launching, what's available. And the best way to start is always to contact me and ask me, this is what I want, what do I do? And then depending on the person and depending on what they're searching for, I will tell them what is the best option. There are many different courses for different people searching for different things. So the best way is to join the newsletter and ask me for a recommendation, and I usually get it right. I will tell you what is your natural next step.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Thank you for being here, for your beautiful just energy and presence. I'm super grateful that you recorded this episode with me. Thank you to you, Joanna, and thank you to everyone watching this episode. If you're new to our channel, please take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and let us know your thoughts. And don't forget, check out the description to know how to connect with Joanna. I'm sending you lots of love. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.